Yo! Hey everyone, it's been a little bit since our last video. As you can imagine, the moments in which I press play or press record in this manner, I probably have a lot to say, or maybe there's some things on my mind. I just want to be sure I get out and share, or maybe give a recap on how things are going, what's happening in my day, in my place and space. So first and foremost, life has been pretty good, thus far. I was asked to MC an event. I was asked to share and to speak on a few DEIA matters in regards to executive orders. And that was great, really, really fun. It enabled me to connect with people, to be able to share a few insights, share a perspective rather, but then also to help people navigate a space where, it's going to be okay. There are some things that we're navigating that are very different than we're used to, but we will make it through this different time. So those have been pretty good. Family's doing great. But in this video, I just want to share a thought that I've been wrestling with for a little while. And it is the thought that really came to me when I was watching a video podcast with Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty. And a lot of it is built around Mel Robbins and her podcast, bringing on influential people, a lot of her friends, sharing their insights or perspective, books they may have written, things that they have done that have been pretty cool. But in this conversation that Mel Robbins is having with Jay Shetty, she asks the question about life and how you navigate, tough times and finding the meaning of our work, things that we do for others, our purpose and desire. And what I loved about this conversation in particular is that Jay Shetty is talking about the difference between desire and purpose. How do you find it? What does it mean? And what I synthesized from what he said is that when you desire something, you long for it, you want to do it every single moment. You wake up thinking about it, you go to bed thinking about it. You desire to do a thing. For some people, they desire and it turns into a hobby. Others desire something and it turns into a career. Now, if your desire for something turns into a career, a line of work, more often than not, you're doing it in service of others to help someone else live a better life, or to navigate particular times and places and spaces. But in that pursuit of your desire that manifests itself into a purpose, there lies your purpose of why you're doing whatever you're doing, because it is steeped in a desire for something, right? So for example, there was a time where I was really just trying to find myself in the field of education, and I ended up befriending some really great folks, which then aligned me into really understanding that I do have a desire, which is to be in service of others who may be marginalized, who may not see themselves in the space that they're in. So for example, it was a group titled Black Male Educators for St. Louis, BME STL. So that grew my desire in the work to connect other people together, right? Just to have common space, to be able to talk, commiserate, build, essentially it was an affinity group, right? And then that grew into many other endeavors, which then grew my purpose for serving others, because I had a desire to do all the things, right? And so with that, sometimes we have a difficult time navigating when our purpose needs to take a pivot, or we have to, or we're forced to surrender what the purpose was, but then you still have this desire. And if you aren't able to redirect your desire, although your purpose at that time may have been lost, you become real frustrated. You are internally angry, lost, and you may struggle. I've been there in many respects. But how did I navigate that? If the purpose for what I was doing changed, and what do I do with this desire that I have to serve people? And so at that moment, I just dove deeper into reading, connecting with others, praying, get back into my family, a little bit deeper. I have, 2 young ones. But having said that, there's also a time and a space where we need to just let go and surrender. I was speaking with a colleague, and we're, talking about all kinds of things. And in our conversation, what landed on me is that it's okay for us to surrender, not necessarily give up or give in, but surrender in a way that we are releasing, right? Releasing our past selves to allow for our future selves. So going back to the video podcast with Mel Robbins and Jake Shetty, he then expounded upon, there are times in which we need to let go of what we used to do to make way for where we're needing to go. And so he had this saying, and I forget, where he pulled it from, but he said, if we treat life like school, then there's always something to learn. If we treat life like a movie, then what is the experience we're trying to gain from what's happening? If we want to continue to climb or think life as a mountain or something that we need to traverse to get over, what skills are we needing to acquire to get to that other place? Right now, I am an 18, 19-year educator. Sometimes I ask that question, right? Is what I'm doing now aligned to my greater purpose? And for one, or maybe 2 and 3, Diggs, do you know what your purpose is? What is the greatest need and service of others? What does that look like? And then what is the skill? What are the skills you need to acquire to do it? What are the things you need to learn? And then in this moment, yes, you're faced with many experiences, but maybe there are some experiences that I need to gain, synthesize, bring into myself to be my best self in service of others. And so those are just a few pieces that it just really, really came to me today as I was speaking with a colleague, wrestling with, purpose, connecting this podcast that I was listening to. But then there's another piece that I want to just mention as I wrote it down real quick. And Jay Shetty asked all of us in this moment is, are we holding back? Are we holding back from getting to the horizon? Are we holding back because we are still in mourning of our past selves? Are we holding back our creativity, our skills? Are we holding back in relationships because we used to be in another time period doing some really cool and awesome things, and we stopped for whatever reason? But are we stuck? Are we staying there to where we can't grow and move forward? And so he also said, what idea, what expectation, and what mindset is keeping us held back? What circumstance or series of things that have happened to you in your life that is pushing you and keeping you down, and you feel like you can't shake it or wrestle through it, right? Something else that he mentioned was the reality is that we're not stuck, we're grieving. There's a part of us that's somewhere that we're trying to get back to. There are pieces of us that have fallen off that we're trying to put back into place. But to get where we need to get, and this is really what I want to share as I'm talking with all of you or whoever's listening, is you will be in a space where you are in doubt, where you may struggle, where you may not know heads from tails. That is a thing. That is a thing. But each moment that you stay there, each moment that I have wallowed in what could have been or what they did to me, I'm actually robbing myself of skills, experiences, talents. I'm arresting my mindset so that, yes, the universe would have won if I did nothing. But here's the challenge for all of you as well as myself. Let's make today the day that we put the right foot in front of the left foot and we keep moving forward. create the next thing, accomplish the next deal, build that relationship with that individual that you look up to, so that at one point you will be able to acquire new knowledge and more skills. So I say all that to say this: we have to press play. Let's move away from being in grief. The funeral is over. The eulogy has been read. Now it's time to rise and live. Let's go press play. See you.